the man we have to thank or blame for our current president. He's also one of America's most notorious political strategists who helped put Nixon and Reagan in the White House. Powerful. And is the subject of the new Netflix documentary, Get Me Roger Stone, which I hear is great, by the way. Please welcome the movie's director, Morgan Peckma, and the man himself, Roger Stone. So, Roger, okay. So you might have heard us talking this morning about the Comey event,
Yes.
Episode. It keeps changing. Every time we turn around, somebody else is, advised Trump to fire him. And you're on that list. According to our sources, they say that you urged Trump to fire Comey. Did you or did you not?
Well, Politico, the New York Times, and CNN all reported that. I am not the source of that story, nor would I comment on it.
Why? You're not in the CIA.
I have always, but I've always taken the position that private conversations between myself and the president, which are occasional, not every day, that they have to remain confidential. He has to be able to ask for advice or discuss politics and not find it on the front page.
It's interesting that you say that, because he doesn't agree with that. He already spilled the beans on his conversation with Comey.
In this case, throughout the whole campaign, and since he's been president, I have declined to talk about conversations that I've had with him, and I'm not going to contradict the President of the United States here today. That said, he knows my views on Mr. Comey. I would have fired him 5 seconds after I took my hand off the Bible.
After he did all that damage to Hillary, that would have been the time to fire him.
Well, that was inappropriate.
But in the middle of an investigation on Russia connection, and then you fire him then? That's bad timing.
First of all, the Russian investigation, in all honesty, has produced nothing. It is a scandal without evidence. So far. But the House and Senate committees, while first they said, well, there's something here, then Senator Feinstein, Congressman Schiff say on April 2nd, well, we haven't seen any evidence yet.
But how long did it take them to get rid of Nixon in the Watergate? 2 years, wasn't it?
18 months before it was a full boil.
Well,
but in that case, there was both smoke and fire. We don't even have smoke here. We have nothing. I myself believe, based on the New York Times page 1 story of January 20th, that I was wiretapped, I was surveilled.
You believe the New York Times now?
Well, I like the New York Times, particularly today, whose review of his film I think is quite good.
I see.
But the point is, they've been through my email, they've been through my phone calls, they've been through my text messages. They'll find a lot of funky stuff, but I'll tell you what, they won't find any Russians. I didn't have any contact
we'll see.
with
Maybe not you, but we'll see everybody else.
We want to get back to the Russia topic in just a second, but we want to clear up what's going on with Comey, particularly a timeline, because President Trump is denying that he talked to you at all recently. He tweeted, and this is what he tweeted: "The Roger Stone report on CNN is false, fake news. Have not spoken to Roger in a long time. Had nothing to do with my decision. But a White House spokesman confirmed that it's been many months. But you just said on May 5th in a radio interview with the David Webb show, which was actually May 5th, you said that you'd spoken to him less than a week ago. So wherein lies the truth there, and what was discussed if you did talk to him on the 5th?
Well, I'm not going to contradict the president, and I'm not going to say when I've spoken to him, but I would say this: I've spoken to him very recently.
Where did you discuss Comey at all?
I'm not going to ever get into the substance of those conversations, and I'll tell you why. If I do, there won't be any more of them.
I got it.
The president has to believe he can talk to you confidentially. I value my relationship with the president and his family. I was at the wake and funeral for both of his parents. I've been to 2 of his 3 weddings. He went to my wedding.
And yet he still threw you under the bus.
I don't think he threw me under the bus. But I do think that story was leaked by people who said, well, maybe the way you poison the option of firing Comey, Roger Stone, Richard Nixon, Saturday Night Massacre, this is a way to discredit the option. There were people inside the White House staff who were opposed to the firing of Comey.
Have you spoken to him since the Comey fire, regardless of what was said?
I've spoken to him very recently, but beyond that, I'm not going to characterize
Roger, your honest opinion, though, just asking you, do you think that Comey told Trump that he wasn't being investigated? Do you think
yes, I do. Yeah, I think he did, because I just don't think there's anything here. I mean,
so you think that Trump? Do you think it was right? Even it seems odd to me that Trump even asked this question: "Am I under investigation?" If he doesn't think there's a story there, if he doesn't think there's any meat to this, why is he talking about it? I want to hear him talk about jobs and healthcare. Why is he talking about this?
Well, first of all, I think that perhaps I think he was trying to establish that he didn't fire him because he was under investigation, and therefore he didn't fire him for the purpose of cutting the investigation off, which, by the way, isn't going to happen. This investigation needs to go forward. Let me say this. Yeah. I want to testify.
You do.
I don't need a subpoena. I'm not asking for immunity, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to wear. I have been in public session in both the House and the Senate. Senators Feinstein, Warner, Al Franken, who wasn't funny as a comedian, he's even less funny.
He's hilarious and he's brilliant. Stop it.
He's a friend of mine, actually.
You said you want to testify because you don't want Congress to mischaracterize what was said behind
closed doors. Right, if you testify behind closed doors. So I want to testify in public so everybody can hear what I have to say. I'm anxious to do it. I'm complying fully with their request for documents.
Why is Flynn asking for immunity? He must have something.
That is odd, I must say.
General Flynn, oh yeah, he's got
it does seem strange to me, but I'm not General Flynn's lawyer.
What about this idea of a special prosecutor? Because the way I feel about it, you know, I want to know if Russia was involved in meddling in our election. I think Trump wants to know. His latest comments on her that he too wants this investigated. And I want to know if there was collusion, because obviously if you have an American president that was colluding with Russia, that's a problem for all of us, regardless of whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. But can this be investigated fairly without a special prosecutor? We wanted a special prosecutor on the Hillary email scandal. Why is this any different?
I actually agree with you. In other words, I think Jeff Sessions, because of his partisanship, is the wrong person to pursue this, and I would welcome a special prosecutor. I think the president should pick the right woman to do that.
Well, you need to tell that to Mitch McConnell. You tell that to Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. Let's talk about you now.
Yeah, Morgan, I want to talk to you. The timeliness is uncanny here. I want to talk about your new documentary, which is called Get Me Roger Stone. You already said the reviews have been great. You say that Stone, however, is #2 on the list of people most responsible for Trump becoming president, besides Trump himself. How so?
That's absolutely true. You know, the White House has tried to have distance between the president's relationship with Roger Stone, but as the film that Daniel DeMauro, Dylan Bank, and I made, Roger was literally the person who first suggested to Trump to run for the presidency back in 1987. In 1988, he tried to get him to run. In 2000, he was the head of his exploratory committee. In 2012, he tried to get him to run. And over the last 3 decades, Roger has been the closest political advisor to the president. And for the first year of the campaign in the 16 cycle, it was a 3-man operation run by Roger Stone. So the idea that anybody else, you know, Kellyanne Conway, Steve Bannon, they were late additions to the campaign. It was Roger Stone, and then after him, Paul Manafort, who is also in our film, who bear the most responsibility for the Trump presidency.
So you are responsible for this debacle.
Actually,
well, I just heard.
In all fairness, I've worked for 4 presidents. Nobody leads Donald Trump. He is not handled. He is not managed.
I get that.
He is not reading off of polls or focus groups to find out what to say to be popular. He speaks from the heart. He's not a polished political figure. No one runs Donald Trump. He runs himself.
But I happen to know that Nixon is really your favorite of all of them because you have a tattoo of him on your back.
He is.
Yes, he does.
You have a tattoo on your back?
Which I tried to get him to disrobe, but he won't do it.
I'll tell you what, Joy, come back to me to my place later and I'll show it to you.
To that one. There's the picture.
When did you get that tattoo?
You know, Donald is going to be upset with you.
You know
he's a man's royalty. He's Don Corleone. Thanks to Roger Stone and Morgan Peckma. I like that name. Get Me Roger Stone is now streaming on Netflix. I'm going to watch it tonight. We'll be right back.